These are top stories. Russia attacks on Ukrainian cities show no sign of letting up. Civilians are trapped. The UN's humanitarian chief urges all sides to ensure they can get to safety.
This includes allowing safe passage for civilians to leave areas of active hostilities on a voluntary basis in the direction they choose.
Hundreds lining up, hoping to escape to the west. Moscow suggests they can go straight to Russia or Belarus. Ukraine called the move completely immoral. And the US and Europe search for new sources of energy as oil sanctions on Russia look that much more likely.
Let's have a look at this morning's front pages now, and the war in Ukraine clearly dominating every paper once again. Starting with the Telegraph, it leads with the Kremlin's terms for a peace deal. Moscow claims fighting could be halted almost immediately if Ukraine agrees to its demands. The Times says President Putin's plans are clearly mapped on the faces of its Ukrainian victims. The Guardian reports that Kiev has rejected Russia's offer to create humanitarian corridors to allow civilians to flee heavily bombed cities because they led to Russia and Belarus. Pull your finger out, says the Metro. The ex-head of the army, Lord Dannatt, insists the UK must welcome more refugees. That is the same story in the Eye, as people call for the British government to help more Ukrainians. The Financial Times reports on world markets being rattled over fluctuations in oil and gas prices after the US floated plans to ban the purchase of Russian oil. The Daily Mail leads with the Prime Minister's plans for more drilling in the North Sea in a bid to stabilise energy prices. But the Express says in the end it's the price we must pay to defeat Putin. Let it go. The Sun's message to the Russian leader as a video of a young girl singing the popular Disney song from her bunker goes viral. The Mirror reports on firms apparently continuing to trade in Russia despite the war, showing a picture of McDonald's under the headline, McShane. And the Star leads with pictures of various animals being rescued from the war zone with their headline, The Dogs of War.
Our headlines for you today. Russia continues to bomb Ukrainian towns and cities, but President Zelensky vows to fight on.
I'm staying here in Kyiv, on Bankova, not hiding, and I'm not afraid of anyone, as long as needed to win this war, our national war.
Zelensky will address MPs by video link, the first time they have ever heard from a wartime leader as he fights for his country's survival. I think they will be hanging on his every single word.
The humanitarian crisis deepens. Almost 2 million people have fled Ukraine, but the row over how many the UK will take continues.
And as the pressure on energy prices continues, businesses are feeling the heat. I'm in the West Midlands. Here they process big pieces of steel. They can't turn the thermostat down as prices go up and up.
Waiting on a World Cup spot, how Scotland and Ukraine will not meet in their playoff match in 19 days' time after FIFA granted Ukraine's request to postpone their match amid the ongoing conflict.
Overnight, there have been reports of loud explosions in the port city of Odessa, and Ukrainian military officials say children are among at least 10 victims of aerial attacks on the city of Sumy. James Reynolds has the very latest.
Ukraine claims that its forces have killed a Russian Major General, Vitaly Gerasimov, near the second Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, which is being shelled by invading forces. Russia has not confirmed the claim. In war, the death of generals is counted one by one. By contrast, the death of civilians comes in much greater number.
Let's get right up to date now with everything that has been happening overnight in Ukraine. James Reynolds is here with us in the studio this morning to tell us everything. Morning, James.
Morning, Sally. Morning, Dan. Well, let's bring you right up to date with how things are on the 13th day of the Russian invasion. We've got our usual map of Ukraine. If you've been watching every day, you might know that the bits in red are the bits of territory of Ukraine that Russia has taken or is advancing in. You'll get to see right here in the bottom, it's joined up almost its territory in the south with its territory in the east, making life extremely difficult in that port city of Mariupol, which is currently under siege. The Ukrainians there have no way out. There's also this city, Odessa, on the Black Sea. There are reports from a BBC reporter on the scene who heard 3 or 4 loud explosions and was told that this was the Ukrainian defense system taking down incoming Russian missiles fired from one of several warships in the Black Sea. So we will keep an eye on what's happening in Odessa, certainly over the next few days. Well, looking in the north, Russia is moving still towards the capital, Kiev, and also towards the second city, Kharkiv. Russia hasn't taken ground quickly in recent days. There are many possible explanations for this. Instead, it's found a tactic that works for its forces: long-range missile and rocket attacks. Those attacks, of course, are devastating to the local civilian population. Let's look more closely at Kiev. Russian forces are about 16 miles to the northwest, and President Zelensky, you'll know his face by now, has wanted to show that he is still at his desk, that he hasn't gone anywhere.
I'm staying here in Kyiv, on Bankover, not hiding, and I'm not afraid of anyone, as long as needed to win this war, our national war.
President Zelensky there, well, he's staying, but 1.7 million of his compatriots, mostly women, children and men over the age of 60, are leaving. And this map shows you where they're going. They're all heading west if they can. More than 1 million have ended up in Poland. Others are going in other EU countries. Now, Ukraine wants proper escape routes for civilians trapped under siege. But so far, Russia has offered only routes which either end up in Russia itself, in Russia's ally Belarus, or elsewhere in the Ukraine. And that does no good whatsoever to the Ukrainians trying to flee. A final word on the weather. If you've been watching some of our reports, this is from Sarah Rainsford in the city of Dnipro, you'll see just how cold it is. And a cold air mass is coming in with really strong winds. That will make it extremely cold, particularly in the middle of this week, making a difficult situation down in Sally an awful lot more tricky.
Oh, James, thank you very much.